everybody, Big Seven here, back for another video. Today I'm going to go through my AFL fantasy side. I haven't played fantasy for 8 or 9 years, I don't think. I have tried to play it in the past, but ever since they changed the interface over, I just got too frustrated trying to use it and yeah, just didn't think it was worth my time. But the interface has changed this year. The prizes have also gotten a lot bigger. So, like, first prize this year is a Tundra, a grand final package, and 20 grand in crypto. So, it's a pretty good prize. And they've also added like a few other prizes as well. The one that caught my eye was like the highest team value prize for which is 6 grand. Whoever has the highest team value. I considered putting all of my efforts towards that because maybe I had a few doubts whether I would have like the nuance that some of the top AFL fantasy coaches have to like be a serious contender at overall. But I'll back myself in. I'm not short of ambition, and it would be pretty cool to play fantasy for the first time in years and knock off those fantasy nerds, steal the Tundra from outside of them, and send them back to fantasy land. So I did consider going for the team value prize, but yeah, that would be a completely different strategy. If I was going to go for that, then I was going to leave probably 3 or 4 million in the bank and only have players that will make cash and yeah. Whereas like overall, you want to use everything. So I did think the team value was a nice carrot, but I think there would be a lot of quote unquote wives and girlfriends and sisters and um, kids in the family where people have created the second account and will go for that prize with that account. So I'm going for overall. I don't plan on making regular videos, but I will if I'm in like top 100 or something like that early on. But we'll see how things go. So from what I understand, like the difference between fantasy and super coaches, you want to be more points chasing, and there's a lot of mid prices in super coach where it's kind of like I'm on the fence about. Whereas fantasy, I think you're supposed to full send them and um, points chase them and try and increase that team value. So the team as it stands, Sinclair, it was disappointing to see him rack it up last night because he was someone that was in my Supercoach side at fairly low ownership, but that's only going to skyrocket, especially with the Naslo game. So it was annoying to see Sinclair do well, but he will be a great pick regardless of the format. Josh Dacos, I think he is a pick in Supercoach, but I don't have him at the moment. He's more of a pick in fantasy. I think he was top 8 in fantasy for defenders last year, where he's a bit lower down the list for Supercoach. But yeah, it looks like the Pies are going maybe a little bit slower this year, a bit more chip mark. So that'll benefit Dacos. And yeah, the 141 in the system means at worst he makes a bit of money and then I have to trade him off. But I think he's probably a keeper in this format. McKercher, I'm not worried about the lack of preseason. He is a fantasy pig and willing to take the risk on him. Dan Houston has scored well in the past. I don't think he's been more of a super coach than fantasy scorer, but another one that might benefit from the Pies playing a bit more slowly, but that could have been also a game plan thing against the Saints. So we'll see what happens. Houston might just be a quick cash grab, but with the 120 in the system, I'm down to take the risk. I don't think he's a keeper. Next player is Windsor. I was tossing up between him and Fonte. Could pick them both. Fonte with the 90 in his system. I'm just not sure if he's legit. I'm not sure if Windsor is legit as well or if he's just preseason bait too. But with a midfield role this year, Windsor should be a fine pick. Blackiston, I don't have him as super coach because he's a bit more expensive there, but he's a bit more of an appetizing price here, a bit under 400, whereas in super coach, I think he's around 290. I think he's a borderline selection in super coach for me, but don't have him at this stage. Could get talked into him, but yeah, in fantasy, he's a much stronger selection, especially with prices changing immediately rather than SuperCoach, where you have to wait for 3 rounds before price changes happen. So that gives Blackiston a bit more runway, especially depending on the Nick Bryan timeline. He should definitely make a fair bit of money in fantasy before having to offload him. Bench rookies, Jakes and Sarong both put in strong opening round performances. Wasn't that keen on Jakes prior to opening round, but he looked the part and also seemed to get like fairly high up the ground. So, uh, yeah, Jakes, I've got a lot more confidence in after watching his performance, and Sarong had a solid game as well. Into the midfield, I've got Dacos, Walsh, and Jagger Smith. I'm not sure if it's overkill to have all three from the same buy, but I do like all three of them as options. Walsh, he looks a bit more. He looks fit this year. He's had the back issues and ankle issues and stuff in the past, but he's a fantasy pig. Prefer him in fantasy over Supercoach, and yeah, I think Walsh can be top 8 probably in both formats, but a bit more appetizing in fantasy, where I think the ceiling is a little bit higher. And then yeah, Dacos. I mean, how can you fade someone that gets 40 touches for fun and the team looks to use him at nearly every opportunity? So um, yeah, I'm a bit unsure about having all three of Dacos, Walsh, and Jagger Smith, but ultimately I think they're all good enough selections where I'll just take the hit in round two. Um, Goulden, I was a little bit concerned about him early on with his forward time because it seemed like he was playing more deep forward rather than half forward. But second half, that kind of corrected itself, played a bit more midfield. That's when Sydney started getting on top, and I think I'll put that forward time down to maybe like Swans being a bit more cautious with him. They also were pretty cautious with like Mills and Papley going into opening round. So I'll back Gordon in. Uh, then it's mid-price heavy. Bruin, Parrish, Lindsay. Bruin looked pretty good in a bad loss for Geelong. I'm not sure what his fantasy numbers have been like in the past, but I know he's averaged like 78 Supercoach in 2024. So I'd expect it to be similar for fantasy, and at that price, he looks value. Darcy Parish, by all reports, has looked great this off season. We've seen his peak is very high, and yeah, multiple reports like teammates have come out and said he's looked good. Brad Scott has said it's best shape he's seen him in. So I'll back Parish in to rediscover his best form or close to it. Lindsay, a little bit unsure about, but he had the 4 out of the 6 kick-ins in Melbourne's preseason game, and that was also like only 3/4 of game time. So if he's the main distributor down back, which I think he should be, then I can see him scoring very well. Dersma, I'm inclined to take the risk on. Scored pretty good fantasy points in the preseason game. I think he scored like 65. His brother Xavier Dersma did okay in his rookie season, and Willem's a higher rated prospect. I can see people fading him, but at least in fantasy, I'm going to pick him. Super coach, I'm still a little bit unsure whether I will go for him or not. Probably comes down to team structure. Yeah, Jagger, I kind of touched on him, but yeah, the only thing I want to say is he's a lock. Like, I think it's 27 touches on debut. Like, yeah, uh, the easiest pick in the game. Jack Carroll, I'm a little bit unsure about. Kind of a mixed game yesterday, and I think the selection acts could strike him at some point, but this is fantasy. Plenty of trades to move him on if we need to, and 78 in the score cycle isn't bad either. So, bit concerned about Carroll, but he's in the side. Blamirez, I think, scored well at VFL level and is probably borderline best 23 at North, but I'll back him to be best 23 in a weak North side. The rucks I've gone for English and McAndrew. Um, English, he's been a top scorer in fantasy for past few years, and I don't see any reason why that would be different this year. And then McAndrew, it really sounds like Rob is past it and not in selection consideration. So McAndrew, it seems like he'll get a decent run at it, and from all reports, has had a good pre-season. So happy to have him on field. Zane Zakostelski, a bit of a bolter. Not sure if he keeps his spot, but like I prefer if he does, I prefer him over Reedy and probably Kalani White. If he does hold the spot, I mean the job security is shaky, but I really liked what I saw from him like as a footballer on Saturday night, and I'm hoping that he can do enough to keep his spot in the side. Draper could force him out, and Draper could be back sooner rather than later. So we'll see what happens with Zakostelski, but yeah, he showed some really promising signs on debut, and kind of want to back in the talent rather than back in the donkey that is Reedy. So Zakostelski at R3 could also go a loophole, but I'll have enough players out on buy to have loopholes outside of round one. Then the forwards and the utility, Sheasel should just be the top forward and still young, plenty of improvement left in him. Petrarca looks back to close to his best, and even as a Melbourne supporter, like I'm happy for him that he seems a lot more happy and yeah, looks to be close to back to his best. So good on him. Hope he does well, and we'll be picking him in both formats. Flanders, 100 on debut for St Kilda. The role is there. The pedigree is there. Don't overthink it. Pick Flanders in your side. Rochelle, I will back to get enough midfield time to make a decent amount of money. He had injuries last year as well, which kind of deflate the price a little bit. But yeah, I think Adelaide's midfield needs that spark, and particularly with Rankin playing a lot more forward in the second half of the year, maybe Rochelle can get more mid time than a lot of people are thinking. And it's fantasy, so more inclined to take the risk here rather than SuperCoach, although I do have him in my SuperCoach side at the moment. Mateus Philippou, only 66. I could be tempted to move him on, but didn't really like a lot of options in that price bracket. I think I could get up to like a Lipinski and take another like opening round punt because he's got the big score in the cycle. But I'll back Mateus in. He's a mega talent and um, should make at least a little bit of money. We'll see how he goes. He could be someone to move on from, but in the side at the moment, Connor Buderick, he's for me, he's locked in fantasy. In Supercoach, he's a French selection, especially with like all the players on buy, like Petrarca and Lombard, and yeah, in the forward line. So he's a bit more fringe in Supercoach, but in fantasy with the 94 in his cycle, I think he can go like 65 to 70 fantasy and like or 70 to 75 in Supercoach, and that'll be enough to make money. I think I'll move on from him at his buy in this format and not pick him in Supercoach. But I will say he is a very valid pick in both formats. So Buderick is inside. And then bench, Devon Robertson should play some midfield time. Rookie price, happy to pay for him. Lombard looks like a really good player. High draft capital. Really like the profile when I looked at it last year. So yeah, he looks like he's arrived after injury played year one. And Josh Lindsay, I could be tempted to go for someone else, but I think the scoring potential is there. And if he does get dropped for like a half for Duggan, then we'll address it when it comes. But I think he will score well enough to be worth selecting. Dacos will be the captain for round one against a weakened Adelaide midfield. I guess I should make a league. Guess I should figure out how to do that because I haven't actually created one. Big Seven League. Can you do groups? Yeah, or open league. Yeah. Make it public. And we'll create the league. Where is the league code? Yeah, I guess that's the code. 9SL670HZ if you want to join that league. And then other than that, I'll wrap things up. Hopefully have a top seven back into Supercoach, but top seven starting team traps. So these are all going to be players and should be good. And then I was talking about potentially doing a roast your team kind of video. I don't think I will get time to do that, but um, if I do, I'll put some details in the next video on how to submit a team. But I don't think I'm going to get around to it. So if there's any other content creators that are watching, feel free to steal the idea. I don't care. But yeah, so this is team. Sinclair, Dacos, McKercher, Houston, Windsor, Blackiston, Jake Sarong, midfield Dacos, Goulden, Walsh, Bruin, Parrish, Lindsay, Dersma, Jagger Smith on field, Caroline Blamero's on the bench. The rucks are English and McAndrew with Zakostowski on the bench. And then forwards, Sheasel, Petrarca, Flanders, Rochelle, Philippou, Buderick with Devon Robertson and Lombard on the bench. And then the utility bench spot is Josh Lindsay. So yeah, that'll wrap things up. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next video.